What's everyone saying? 11-2K here. Manchester United versus Villarreal in the Europa League final has taken place, and Manchester United has lost that game 11-10 on penalties. 11-10 on penalties, and in a crushing way to sort of end the season for Manchester United fans, most definitely. And I think the big thing that people will be talking about is, is this the end of David De Gea at Manchester United? If you haven't watched the game, listen to the score of penalties. 11-10 on penalties. Penalties literally came down to the goalkeepers taking them in the end. And coming into the shootout, the commentators are talking about De Gea's record and how he's not saved a pen in 6 years, or it might have been 4 years, something silly, right? So as a United fan, you come into the penalty shootout like, oh no, this isn't gonna end well, is it? It's not gonna end well, especially when they're mentioning Dean Henderson's stats and how great he's been, and with the way the season's already been building up, with fans and the media pitting them against each other, there's a lot of pressure here for De Gea to really step up, And, to be fair, he's served the club well. He has served the club well, but that finish is painful, man, painful. Everybody was just scoring their penalties. Every single outfield player had to take a penalty and took it well. And Rulli, the goalkeeper of Villarreal, steps up to take it and he smashes it home. And it was perfect to me because I see him smash it home and I'm like, that's the perfect goalkeeper for a penalty. That's a perfect penalty for a goalkeeper who doesn't take penalties to take. He just smashes it the way a goalkeeper would smash, a goal kick, right? And I think to myself, that's exactly how you want to, your goalkeeper to take a penalty if he's forced to, right? And so when De Gea steps up, I'm thinking to myself, no funny business, David. Don't try slot it home. You're not Bruno or something. Just smash it, son. Just smash it. And he tries to slot it down the right. Rulli reads it. And so Villarreal win the Europa League. It's Emery's 4th Europa League title. You just got to feel bad for De Gea because now everyone's going to be questioning his place in the squad. People already coming into the season, or already this season, sort of questioning his ability. Statistically, it's shown that he has been on a somewhat of a decline the past couple of years. Weirdly enough, right? You expect keepers to be able to last way older, right? You look at someone like Edwin van der Sar. Edwin van der Sar came to United older than what De Gea is now, I'm pretty sure, right? And he lasted a really long time. Keepers can typically last just that bit longer. But with Dean Henderson on the rise, it's not been easy for De Gea to sort of shut the critics up. And tonight won't help that whatsoever. What happens now coming into summer? Do the club decide that Dean Henderson's the man for the future? De Gea, he served the club well, but, tonight has shown that he's finished. What happens there? What are these conversations like? Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about De Gea, though. Let me know what you would do as a Manchester United fan. The one thing I did say on Twitter, if you're not following me on Twitter, by the way, twitter.com/11-2K, I said, the abuse De Gea is about to receive over the next sort of days, weeks, even months, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. De Gea is about to be slated in every single possible way. And even that alone could just force him out the club. Just the way the fans react to it could force him out the club. And it is painful considering how well he has served us. He has served us well. But as a Manchester United goalkeeper, there's a lot of scrutiny. And tonight doesn't help him in that sense at all. And so it could be the end of David De Gea at Manchester United, moving just beyond the goalkeeping situation. Because me personally, analysing the game, I don't think it ever should have reached that point. I don't think it should ever reach a point where the goalkeepers are taking penalties. I don't think it should ever reach a point where we're in penalties. Against Villarreal, I don't think it should reach a point where we're in extra time. This has to be a game we close out in the first 90 minutes. And it wasn't good enough on the pitch in many different ways. I think you looked tactically, to begin with, you saw Emery came into the game very willing to defend, very ready to nullify some of our strongest sort of attacking points, right? We have been synonymous with being able to get in behind and getting people like Cavani and Rashford and Greenwood in behind. Instantly the Villarreal centre-backs, Albiol and Torres, just dropped a couple yards deeper every single time they lost the ball. And so we couldn't ping these ball in behind because they were just ready for it. You look at our build up in the attack, right? We're sort of attacking, we sort of were building up in this shape that just made it so easy for them to man mark us, and we couldn't play between the lines whatsoever. They're defending in the 4-4-2, and it was just so incredibly hard to get Bruno on the ball, to get Cavani on the ball, to get Rashford and Greenwood on the ball. Even Pogba, it wasn't like Pogba was having the most fine and dandy time in sort of the midfield. It was really difficult, and I think some of these are some of the tactical adjustments that you expect great managers to make, especially when you can almost expect a team to, come out and just be willing to defend, right? And so definitely were questions to be had about that. Nobody really was impressive for United. Nobody really was impressive. The only person that really stood out to me was Scott McTominay, and he really sort of had a lot of energy. He was everywhere on the pitch today, it felt like. I really want to see how much distance he covered today, because it felt like he was all over the place. And, he gets called a passion merchant, but rightfully so. He plays for the badge. He has a lot of heart, and you need those kind of characters in games like this. But you also need more. You also need your best players to be fed the ball. You also need, people like Rashford to come out and really make a difference. And the reality is, I love Marcus Rashford, but he had a poor game. He had a poor game, a poor final. And you could really see where it was eating him up inside. You really could. I was so scared for him when taking penalties, because he had just had such a poor game that you could really just see him bottling a penalty, potentially. But really, really rough as a United fan to sort of get through that game, especially because, watching Villarreal, props to Emery and props to them. They deserve the sort of result in terms of, they came out and did everything that they set out to do. But it's not like anybody was impressive for them. Moreno's their top goal scorer, 30 goals in the season. He didn't, the goal he took, he snatched at it well, but at the same time, it wasn't like the greatest of finishes or anything. Lindelof just fell asleep. And speaking of Lindelof, I think he's somebody that will be heavily scrutinized as well now. And he's someone where I'm more willing to scrutinize him, because I just don't think he's good enough. Defensively, he's just not strong enough. In aerial situations, he's not good enough. And so when we're lacking Maguire, who's one of the best, aerial centre-backs in the world, it's time for someone like Lindelof to step up, and he just couldn't. He doesn't see Moreno early enough, and so Moreno's able to just slip past him. Then he's panicking, so he's grabbing the shirt, and he could have given away a penalty. Obviously, he doesn't anyway, because Moreno gets the goal. But, these are the sort of things that you expect a defender for Manchester United to be a lot better in situations like that, and he just isn't. And it's the reason why fans have been calling for us to sign a centre-back to play alongside Maguire, because Victor Lindelof just isn't good enough, and it showed tonight. It's rough. It's really rough. Cavani was able to snatch a goal away for us in the second half, and that sort of kept us in the game. But you did really expect us to come out like we have in previous games this season in the second half and up the tempo, sort of create more chances, because, we dominated the ball in the first half. They just had the one shot on target and the one goal. The fact that we dominated so much of the ball, we've dominated so much of the game in certain phases, and we only had 3 shots on target in 90 minutes. So I think it might have even been in the whole 120. We only had 3 shots on target. That's horrendous. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing, honestly. Creatively, the build up was poor. The actual shape of the build up I'm talking about was just poor, right? It was like we were defending. So we had like 3 at the back. McTominay would drop into the defense with Lindelof and Bailly. Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka would push up. Of course, Cavani up front. But then you'd have Rashford and Greenwood tucking in. But, Bruno is also pushing up, right? So it's like you have Pogba in the hole in the midfield, right, with the 3 defenders behind him. And he doesn't really have many passing options, right? He doesn't really have many passing options. They're able to just sort of man mark everybody relatively easily while they're defending with a 4-4-2. And it didn't look good. It didn't look good whatsoever. It didn't look good whatsoever. But look, it's a tough result. Hopefully moving forward, we can be better as a club. I think there's going to be plenty of videos to be made regarding, the future of this club and what the direction is going forward. And I will make those videos. So if you enjoyed, stick around for more. But not a great result. Not a great result. You win some, you lose some. Better luck next time. See you guys all later.